If you can count 5 people on your hand that are close friends that you can call and come running, you're a blessed man, right? Mm-hmm. And I think about my time in California. I had 1. I've been here for 7 years. I'd have to use both hands, both feet, and then some to tell you the calls that I can make in a second and have someone here.
My next guest grew up in Corona, California. He got his associate's degree from Angels Harbor College and his bachelor's degree in business administration at the University of Redlands in Redlands, California. He is the director of sales at PalPilot International based in Tustin, California, and works remotely from his home in Booneville, Arkansas. He was most recently elected as alderman for Ward 3 in Booneville. Please welcome Derrick Wagner.
The Local Insider Show is brought to you in part by My Patriot Supply. You don't need to live in the heart of a hurricane zone or along an active fault line to be serious about emergency preparedness. If we've learned anything from both historical and recent events, crises can come in all shapes and sizes, and they can come at any time, even overnight. Whether you're experiencing the effects of long-term illness, an accident, job loss, or even widespread threats like terrorist attacks, economic collapse, or an outbreak of disease, you can tackle what's next in confidence with My Patriot Supply storable foods. No matter what your emergency may look like, you won't have to worry about where you're getting your next meal. And as far as your survival is concerned, there's nothing more important than that. Already our foods and packaging undergo regular, rigorous testing to ensure they exceed industry standards for safety, quality, and shelf life. Ready Hour also conducts regular analytical microbial and oxygen level inspections, as well as sensory testing of raw materials and finished goods in a food testing lab. Don't delay, prepare today. When an emergency is on the way, My Patriot Supply receives a rush of orders that slows their ability to ship as quickly as usual from their warehouses across the country. Go to localinsidershow.com/emergency food to order your 2-week or 4-week supply of storable food.
Are you in Logan County, Arkansas, and need computer service or repair? Look no further than Coal Creek Media. We're the area's one-stop shop for all your technology needs. From laptop and desktop repair to software installations, we've got you covered. We also provide virus and malware removal services, so you can rest assured that your computer is secure. With over 20 years of experience in residential and enterprise technology service and support, we make sure to use the latest tools in the industry so that you get the best results and the best service possible. We know that technology can be confusing and intimidating, so we make sure to take the time to explain what we're doing and why. We aim to ensure you understand everything we do so that you can make the best decisions for your computer. Plus, we can provide on-site services so you can get help without having to leave your home, whether you need a one-time repair or ongoing tech support. Our team ensures you get the best service possible. So if you're looking for reliable help with all of your technology needs, Coal Creek Media is the perfect choice. The Home Doctor, Practical Medicine for Every Household, is a 304-page doctor-written and approved guide on how to manage most health situations when help is not on the way. If you want to see what happens when things go south, all you have to do is look at Venezuela. No electricity, no running water, no law, no antibiotics, no painkillers, no anesthetics, no insulin, or other important things. But if you want to find out how you can still manage in a situation like this, you must also look to Venezuela and learn the ingenious ways they've developed to cope. Dr. Mabel Neves, head surgeon of the Unit of Breast Pathology and general surgeon at Caracas University Hospital in Venezuela, with over 10 years of experience in the operating room. She studied at the prestigious European Institute of Oncology in Milan, Italy. Dr. Mabel is known for developing new, ingenious methods of treating patients after Venezuela's economy collapsed and hospitals and pharmacies ran out of medicine, supplies, electricity, and running water. The methods she developed and pioneered are now studied and applied in conflict zones all over the world. Many of these protocols and procedures do not require medical assistance, as they are specifically designed to be self-applied. That makes them extremely valuable if the medical system cannot be depended on, like during long-term blackouts. She co-authored the book with Dr. Rodrigo Alterio and Claude Davis. Here's just a small glimpse of what you'll find in The Home Doctor, Practical Medicine for Every Household. 10 medical supplies you need to have in your house. The biggest mistake you can make in a blackout. How to recognize a heart attack and what to do next. What happens when you take expired medications. The only 4 antibiotics people stockpile. The best natural painkiller that grows in your own backyard. An ingenious way to stockpile prescription medicines, including insulin. How to deal with injuries caused during social unrest, and much more. If you decide to place a copy of The Home Doctor, Practical Medicine for Every Household on your bookshelf today, there are 2 additional gifts in store for you, free of charge for now. The first one is called Wild Edibles You Can Forage For or Find Around Your House. These are the life-saving herbs that people in Venezuela ate when they couldn't afford to buy food from the market anymore. These plants grow all over North America, and I bet some are also growing around your house. With this bonus, you'll be able to identify wild edibles and take advantage of your backyard supermarket. You'll also receive a second gift called Natural Healing Secrets of Native Americans. In it, you'll discover the powerful natural medicines that natives relied on well before the dawn of modern medicine. One day, these plants will be worth their weight in gold. With this, you'll never be short on medicine no matter what happens, and will always have a way left to help yourself or a loved one in need. The plants they used are still abundant in America, and all you need to know is how to properly identify them and turn them into remedies that the natives used for hundreds of years. You'll have a full 60 days to try The Home Doctor, Practical Medicine for Every Household. If at any time during the 60 days you're not completely satisfied with this purchase, send them an email and they'll give you back every cent. It's that simple. Also, if you use the book to take care of your current health issues and you don't end up saving at least $37, they'll send you a full refund. No questions asked. That's their personal guarantee to you. To order your copy today, visit www.localinsidershow.com/home doctor. That's www.localinsidershow.com/HOMEDOCTOR. The world's first and only 100% safe and natural proprietary patent-pending formula that when combined with coffee can increase both the speed and efficiency of metabolism while instantly boosting your health, energy, and well-being at the same time. There's never been anything even close to Java Burn ever attempted. As tens of thousands of everyday women and men can attest, electrifying your metabolism, torching off fat from your problem areas, enjoying incredible all-day energy, reducing hunger, and improving your health could not be any simpler, easier, or more automatic. Just enjoy your morning coffee with an instantly dissolvable, tasteless packet of Java Burn, and let the revolutionary science of nutritional synergy do the rest. That's really all there is to it. Only Java Burn allows you to know what it feels like to have both parts of your metabolism working in overdrive for you instead of against you. To have your fat-burning furnace burning hotter than ever before, and to have more fat and calories being shuttled into it to be burned. An unbelievable position to be in. Java Burn is 100% all-natural, vegetarian, non-GMO, gluten-free. It has no added fillers, preservatives, artificial colors, or stimulants of any kind. And it is proven to be 100% completely safe and it has 0 side effects. Every packet of Java Burn is manufactured right here in the USA in state-of-the-art FDA-approved and GMP, that's Good Manufacturing Practices, certified facility under the most sterile, strict, and precise standards. Plus, they also pay to have every single batch tested in third-party labs to ensure that the formula in every packet meets their industry-leading standards for the highest quality, purity, and potency available. Java Burn is totally tasteless and dissolves instantly into your coffee, and it works just as well regardless of what kind of coffee you drink or what you like to put in it. Also, I just need to be super clear about a few things. You'll never be able to buy Java Burn cheaper than today. And Java Burn will never be available for purchase at any other website or store. Java Burn is only able to offer today's incredible pricing because they've eliminated all middlemen and agents and have partnered directly with the industry-leading manufacturer so that they can ship directly to you right away. Furthermore, rest assured that this is a one-time payment. There are no hidden charges or subscription fees whatsoever. I've always hated that stuff as much as you do. Also, Product is backed by a 100% money-back guarantee for 60 full days from the original purchase. If you're not totally and completely satisfied with this product, your results or your experience in the first 60 days from the purchase, simply call their toll-free number or drop them an email, and they'll give you a full refund within 48 hours of the product being returned. That's right, simply return the product, even empty pouches, anytime within 60 days of your purchase, and you'll receive a full, no questions asked refund, less the shipping and handling. So provided JavaBurn is still in stock, go to www.localinsidershow.com/JavaBurn. That's www.localinsidershow.com/JAVABURN.
Welcome to the Local Insider Podcast, a show about everyday people who make a big difference.
Derrick Wagner, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
Hey, so today is election day, and the first thing I asked Derrick is, he nervous? And he didn't seem too nervous. I said, what makes you so sure you're not going to lose?
Well, running unopposed has its advantages for sure.
So, Derrick, what's your story? Where are you from, and where'd you grow up?
I'm from Corona, California. It's right outside Riverside, California, and just south of Orange County, California. So I was born in a little hospital in 1964. That hospital was torn down like 2 months after I was born, so it's no longer in existence. But yeah, and that's where I grew up. I lived there for 51 years until 7 years ago that I moved out to Arkansas.
What made you decide to come to Booneville?
That's a long story, but not so complicated. Obviously, me and my wife have been married, Sherry, for 13 years now, right? And we were boyfriend-girlfriend in 1979. I was 15, she was 14, so whatever you would call boyfriend and girlfriend at that time, right? We met at a church function, and she'll tell the story a little stronger than I did, but on an outing at church on a volleyball court, she spiked the ball and hit me in the face. So that's how I met her. That was in Glendora, California. So to get back to how I got here is 30 years later, her and I reconnected, got married, and she was living in Arkansas. So we were dating for 6 months or so. I was flying from California to Booneville, back and forth, Fort Smith, 1 weekend a month. And it got to a point where we said, well, hey, it's time. And it was fairly quick. It was within a few months of me coming down the elevator at the airport, seeing her for the first time in 35 years. So obviously we rekindled right away. Mm-hmm. And I came back here when we got married right down at the Hampton building, right? Mm-hmm. Our mayor, Jerry Wilkins, married Sherry and I. And the day after, I drove her back to California. So we lived there until about 7 years ago, mm-hmm. with all intentions of always wanting to come back to Booneville. But my job required me to be near Orange County. So anyway, once we got to a point where it was time, that I actually went into my office and quit, right? I said, we're leaving. I want to take a year or two off. I want to bring my family out here. Johnny was 16. and just get to a better rural life, right? And because I had been back and forth and I loved the scenery. So I walked into my office at work and the two VPs at the time said, wait. And they came back about 30 minutes later and said, if you fly out here 1 week every month and we'll put you up in a hotel, pay all your expenses, run the sales department, and then we're okay with the transfer. So I said, sign me up, right? So anyway, so then we moved out here, and I did that for 1 week a month for 4 or 5 years till the pandemic, obviously, right? Because I traveled to Asia also for my job, to China and Taiwan and Hong Kong. So the pandemic put a real big hold on that. But what it did was it also showed the efficiency of working remotely, that it could be done, right? So now the pandemic, I believe, is close to over. In China, it's still rampant in places, but it's to a point where I can start going back and forth. So starting January, I'll be heading back to California every 6 weeks until I retire. I have 6 years till I retire, so I made that commitment to my company that I do that. And I've been working with PalPilot International for 15 years, and they've been good to me. So I would, and they know this, I love them all. I went through a traumatic cancer battle. Brian, you're very aware of that, right? And during that time, going through chemo, radiation, and all that for months to a year, they never changed my salary. They never changed my benefits. My two VPs said, I got this. You don't worry about nothing. So I don't care what someone would offer me $500,000 a year. I would say no, thank you. You can't buy that.
No, and that sounds like companies from
the past.
From the good old days.
Yeah, and it's probably reflective in my age, right?
So, what made you guys choose Booneville over California?
That's an easy one. Sherry's grandma lived here for 60 years, Siddons, right? And so you'll know a lot of Siddons around here. She had 12 kids, and she lived in a little house near the elementary school and the high school. And that brought Sherry years ago. She came out here, and that's why, basically her whole family, she's got 12 aunts and uncles. I think 7 of them live in Booneville, right? So, and just the size of the city, it's wonderful. Everybody's been so nice to me. And I do bring up one thing. I think I told you this about a few weeks ago. Our pastor, Stu, made a comment, right, that if you can count 5 people on your hand that are close friends that you can call and come running, you're a blessed man, right? And I think about my time in California. I had 1. I've been here for 7 years. I'd have to use both hands, both feet, and then some to tell you the calls that I can make in a second and have someone here.
Right. Yeah, we're truly blessed here. What makes you smile when you wake up in the morning?
Wow, that's a good question. I tell everybody when I see them, if it's a good day, if you wake up breathing.
Yeah.
That's my favorite scene. People take a second to understand that, but that's how I take life.
You live north of LA, right?
Yes. No, it would be just south.
Just south of LA.
South. Between LA and San Diego.
So you've lived here for
7 years.
7 years now. You still have to visit there like once a month? Yeah,
I go back in January. It was, like I said, very frequent, but only 4 times this year. But starting January, it'll be about 8 times a year.
What are some ways that California has changed since you left there?
Oh, yeah.
And are there any similarities? Is there any similar changes that are going on here that you could say that kind of mirrors what's going on out there?
This is a lot slower life. You can't even compare it. I mean, when I go back to California, I used to drive an hour and a half each way to work, only 30 miles. Right?
Wow.
32 miles. It was an hour and a half to 2 hours each way. I'd leave at 5 in the morning to try and make sure I'm there by 7:30, right? I'd leave at 5. I'd get home at 7 at night. So when I go back now, it's worse. I get in a rental car, and by the time I pull out of the airport, I'm already shaking, because of the traffic. I tease everybody in California. Only traffic I see here, I might have to wait for a tractor, or I just came over the hill this morning from my trainer, and I had to wait for a chicken truck, right, full of a bunch of chickens. Right? There's no stress there.
Employment economy, how does it differ from there? I know they have lots of, I guess Silicon Valley's kind of.
That's up north, right? We have an office in Milpitas, which is in the middle of Silicon Valley. And then the office I work out of is in Tustin, which is Orange County. Even those two sides of this California are vastly different. Yeah.
So what is a book or a person that has influenced you the most?
Well, Jesus Christ, of course, I'll start there. More attuned to things now because of him. I was just baptized when Eric was here as our pastor just a few years ago, and that was a turning point for me. But in regards to other people, was that your question? Or?
Like, did you have a mentor growing up?
I had like 3 mentors, but the most important mentor I had in my life was my stepfather. Right? I grew up extremely poor, very poor, and that's what shapes me now. But I met my stepfather when I was 17, right? After I was living by Sherry, I moved away, and we moved away. But he came into my life at 17, and he was only in my life for about 4 years. And he strongly influenced me on what a father should be, regardless of blood, right? So when I think about somebody, he particularly speaks out to me.
And how old were you when he came into your life?
17.
17.
So I treat all my kids are adopted, are stepchildren, but I treat them no differently than biological kids.
What are some lessons that you learned from him?
Respect, right? In my world now too, if you don't respect yourself for one, you don't respect others, and you don't have respect, you don't have nothing.
And that's an unusual story to where, especially a male can be so highly influenced at that age, 17. Normally, if they're going to be a bad kid, they're too far gone. I'm not to say that you were on the wrong path at 17.
I was pretty close, brother.
So he must be a very special person to be able to do that.
He was only in my life for 4 or 5 years. Like I said, he got diagnosed with ALS. I can't even say it. Arterial lateral sclerosis, something like that. And it's a degenerate disease that he struggled with it for about 1.5 years, and it was slowly down and down and down and down. So it's very hard to watch someone die that way.
I can imagine.
Their mind is intact, but their body becomes a vehicle of nothingness.
What is the reason that you decided to run for city council?
I ran for school board when I first got here 6 years ago. I've been here 7 years, ran for school board. I had only been here 1 year. And I ran at that time for school board just because of some things that were going on with my son, and I wanted to get involved with the school. And Mr. Goff Trent really helped my son out, and I just wanted to get involved. So I started getting involved at that point, and I got hammered. I mean, I think I was 36 votes, it was only 100 and something, right? And I got 36 votes, and I swear that's all of our family. But yeah. And then 4 years ago, I ran for city council, and I was just interested in being a part of this community. Starting to get involved, want to do some good. And 2 years ago is when I started feeling sick. Right? Didn't know what was wrong yet. So I didn't run. It was a good thing. So I was diagnosed with cancer shortly after that.
What kind of cancer was it?
Stage 4 throat and tongue cancer.
So were you ever a smoker or you smokeless tobacco? Nothing
never in my life.
Wow.
Well, that's a lie. Maybe at 2 or 3 functions, us guys would smoke a cigar in the back at a wedding or something, and I would puff it in there. Everybody teased me because I wouldn't inhale it, and they just go put it and throw it aside. But it just wasn't. I still don't understand, but it just wasn't my thing.
So that wasn't a contributing factor at all?
No, and it was diagnosed fairly late, and I was very blessed and lucky. I got a good team at Mercy here. They were trying to send me to MD Anderson, and they wanted me to get an apartment, move down there, and fight the battle there. And I wanted to be home, and I got really lucky. We have a Dr. Grant here in Mercy that actually trained MD Anderson doctors at the cancer center down there, and he just happened to be up at Fort Smith and an expert in head and neck cancers. So when I got in there, and he's the one that was like you call quarterback, I had 5 doctors, and he would say, you do this, you do that, you do that. And I was just blessed to, even though it's in 45 minutes away, I got to come home every day. It was during the pandemic where my wife had to stay in Fort Smith for 8 hours a day because they wouldn't even let her in or anything. So it's a good thing my salary was the same because my shopping bill credit card for hers.
So what are some things that help you pull through that? I know at one time you said that you lived in your recliner because you couldn't lay down and it was so miserable. I still
have that recliner and I watch football in it now. But yeah, it was extremely difficult. If you know that type of cancer, it's very painful. But the part that's hard about it is you can't lay flat. Because you choke on anything. So that was the difficult part. But to answer the question on what helped me get through that, the very first day, Dr. Stevenson, I hope he allows me to say his name, but he saved my life. So I had been spitting up blood for weeks and months, and they couldn't get it diagnosed right. And I had a brain tumor in 2010. And Dr. Stevenson said, well, let's do a CAT scan on your head, see if there's anything going on, residual from that. And I had surgeries at USC years ago for that. And he ordered a neck CAT scan just out of happenstance, along with the head one. And then we got that done. I got home and got a call from the doctor coming in. I'm going, oh God, this ain't good, right? So I went in there and he was such a good man. He said, and he's a young doctor, so I don't think he had much experience on telling someone something's terminal, right? Right? And he said, Derrick, and he was all teary-eyed, and me and my wife were there, and he says, I can't even speak this. I'm going to read it to you. And he read the diagnosis to me, and I said, okay, now what? And he got the team together. I went home. I made one call to a friend. I told you I got hands and feet now, right? I made one call over in a second. And that's where my faith, I talked to you about my Christianity. My faith was at the lowest point. But within 24 hours, it was the highest point it's ever been in my life. And I said, I beat a terminal thing before where they said you have little to no chance. This one I was more scared about. But, and I was apprehensive of survival, but as it started moving along with all the support of all my friends, my family, but it brings back to a story. I think I've told you this, is as soon as I found that out, I called my brother. My brother came out to visit me. He went back to Arizona next week, sold his house, came out here and bought a house in Magazine too. Michael Wagner is his name. Bought a house to be near me, and I called my uncle in North Dakota in Rapid City. He came out to visit my aunt, Gail, my Uncle Marty, and they came out to visit. They went back to North Dakota, sold their house, moved to Greenwood to be by me during the cancer battle. Wow. My cousin in North Dakota came out here, they're living outside of Fort Smith. So all of my family, where I had Christmases here, only been here 7 years. Of course, Sherry had family here. I had very few. Now we don't know where to put them.
What's the most important thing I should know about you?
That you can trust me. My integrity's solid. I don't think there's anybody that you'll ever talk to that would tell you that my integrity's not intact.
As it relates to the city council, I know you've already been. You said you were doing your homework in preparation for that. You're in contact with the municipal league. Yeah,
Jerry asked me 2 city council meetings ago. Jerry, our current mayor, if I would be on a committee to work on police officers' salary and compensations. Because I have 2 degrees. I have a liberal arts degree transfer, and I have a bachelor's of science in business and management with some finance background. So they said something at city council that caught me off guard. It's funny, Jerry asked me to be on this committee because he said that he heard that I was a financial guru, and Philip Blankenship was sitting in the next row up there. I said, well, Philip might tell you otherwise. But anyway, so I'm on this compensation committee, and we're working through everything. We hope to have something to the next city council meeting on our projections or what we can do for next year. And they put me on as a citizen because I'm not in office till January 1st. So we have 5 people on it, and one of them's a city council member. But you can't have 2 city council members on a committee, or it becomes a public forum, and you have to record it, do all that kind of stuff. So it's good to have me as a citizen right now and before, because I'd hate to have my influence, or not my influence, my input wait till the end of next year. It's just too long into it. So we're making progress, and I think you'll see some good things come out of it.
So for those that don't know, there's been a committee formed to look for ways to increase salaries for our police department, and now
all city employees, basically,
okay.
to look at the overview of where they stand, and is it on par, is it under par, what changes can we make, and do we have the money, where can we get the money, can we transfer it from other funds, and there's a lot of complications. I'm very astute in business, but this is a new learning curve for me in regards to municipalities on restrictions on what money can be used for what. So in my business, it's strictly a P&L. You got the money or you don't, right? It's easy decisions. So
right. You just look at the bottom line.
These are much more difficult. For sure, our police department, in my opinion, is underpaid.
Oh, yeah.
But and if you look at all the numbers, I think the statistics support that. But if you don't have the money, you don't have the money. But I think we have the money.
Yeah, I mean, everything that we've seen that's been put out to the public says that since the Supercenter was constructed or brought in here, that our tax revenues have been through the roof. So
in the last month or 2, you would think that the higher prices, people are buying less, but the tax revenue is higher. Even though it's on lower sales, it's on higher dollar amounts, which is bringing in higher tax revenue. So, and you're going to see that, I think, for a few more months as people switching to generic stuff, right? For example, that generic stuff is close to on par with what the name brand stuff was, right?
Right, it's a few cents difference.
So last month, I believe, I don't know the exact numbers, but it was an increase in our tax revenue.
Yeah, it seems like people, I mean, you can only cut especially when it comes to food, you can only cut your budget down to so much. So they're still going to have to get their essentials, and there's only one place to get that right now in Booneville, and that's Walmart. And we pull people from Waldron, we pull them from, I would say, Paris, Magazine, Danville. Some people in Danville will drive to Dardanelle, but it's a huge draw to the town. So what are you better at than anyone else?
Nothing. Oh my gosh, that's a good question. I don't feel myself superior. I just don't
So there's not one skill set that you have that you're better than most people in?
I used to race motocross in the 80s, so I was good back then, but it's 40 years ago. I can correlate to my job. So I'm a director of sales. I don't believe in any company there's anybody on par with me in my chosen field that I work in. Mm-hmm. And I think my colleagues would say that too. Yeah,
I think that's evident in the way they pretty much change their company policy. I don't know, they may have not had to change their policy, but they made accommodations for you because they didn't want to lose you. They valued that the value was there to give you that remote option.
Right. And it helped that I ended up being more productive, even in that sense, because everybody really was forced to, in the last couple of years especially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's some of the numbers that are coming out on this remote, I guess you would call it modality. It seems like the production has increased for a lot of people. I don't know if it's maybe they don't have the stress of going, getting to work, and they can go to work in their pajamas or whatever. They can get some extra sleep or what it is. But it seems like the production has gone up. So in the corporate world, they have kind of a hybrid where they offer, remote to certain people. And from what I'm seeing, and certain people, they obviously have to be there. But
we have the December before the January pandemic started, we signed a new 5-year lease on our property in Orange County, right? Mm-hmm. And the Milpitas one we bought at a good price for like $3.5 million. But we signed a 5-year lease, and it's literally empty. It's probably 30,000 square feet in office space, and nobody's there. So we're trying hard. We still need not camaraderie, but engineering. When you're face to face, the ideas just seem to flow a little better.
Right, I agree.
From our productivity for steel, it's been pretty high. We've had over this last year, we've had our office opening scheduled 8 times, canceled every time. So now it's scheduled for January, right? See how the rest of the year goes.
So this is the
Tustin office.
It's an event to where they're saying, "Hey, we're back to work."
Yep.
Okay.
And we've had it scheduled, like I said, 8 times. I'm not sure exactly through this last year, and we get pushed back. But the issues you got to be conscious of is selectivity, right? Mm-hmm. You can't pick certain groups over others and say you're coming back, and so putting together a policy is extremely difficult, and because some people can now learn work from home effectively, and some we would rather see, but we're not going to say you come on Monday through Friday, you come on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then you're just open up for lawsuits.
Yeah, that's an HR nightmare.
And that's interesting for the municipal league, because I was unopposed. I was allowed to join and start getting information, take classes. And the first class I'm in the middle of now for the municipal league is an HR class, which is really interesting because it's a lot different than HR in my world, right? Mm-hmm. Like as we were speaking, coming from government. So I'm looking forward to, they have a January winter conference, 3 days, and I'm going to go to that and hope to I should have my certification done by like September of next year.
So is that something that is free for?
It's not free for the classes, but you have to be an elected official to be offered these classes. Mm-hmm. It's very, to me, inexpensive, like the HR classes. You could have gone to Little Rock and did it, but they're just the first time this classes, they're virtual, right? So you get the class structure. You got 30 days to complete it and do all that and get your credits and all that. So I'm taking this one now. I've just missed the finance one. I wish I would have known. It would have been, I think, August, September, because that's the one that's most pressing to me.
So they're all webinar-based instead of video-based.
Yeah, exactly. So you log in, and then you go through everything, and you get tested throughout. Make sure you're not just putting on go and going around the house or something, right? But yeah, it's been quite interesting. It's very inexpensive. This one's $40, and The one in January for 3 days, like $249. But a lot of people go to Little Rock and do the hotels and all that. I'll save all the money. I'll do it from my house. But you need, I think it's 21 credit unit hours, and I can have that done by September for the first phase. There's 3 phases, and if I did them all, it'd take about 3 years. But I intend to. So
what is your opinion on having that be a requirement if you're elected? Is that something we can do as a city?
It's not required. I've talked to some of my colleagues about their thoughts on it. Some of them say it's not beneficial to them, and some say it is, and some, even though it's not cost prohibitive, it's an individual choice. So I wouldn't want to force that on somebody. If it's something I want to do because I aspire to do well.
So what is your vision for the city once you're elected in the council? What do you see in the next 4 years?
Everybody talks about growth, right? I think growth for growth's sake is wrong, right? I think quality is a big marker, right? I moved here because of the people, the environment. I wouldn't want to see this to be a 25,000 person city. Everybody says a good hometown, and that's what I would like to see it. But I would like to see some growth. We're less than around 3,800, maybe 5,000. I don't know what the number is, but whatever can support and still keep the hometown feel. When it's in California, it's not like this, but here, your entertainment, the best thing you could do on a Friday night is go to a football game. Right, and that's the whole world for out here, and I love it.
How would we approach that? To you said quality was probably your best indicator. So.
Right, and this stage downtown I think is going to be really great when it's done. That I've supported it throughout this whole thing. When that's done, you start bringing people downtown. Other people feel that maybe there needs to be more growth closer to the Walmart down. That would be east, right? And maybe a center down there, but I like the downtown feel. Start rehabilitating that. I know that Edgar's done some things there, the beautification committee, and that's all going well. But it shouldn't be just downtown. It should be throughout the city, right? So, and then obviously we need 2 or 3 more rock lines.
Right, more industry.
Right, and then I see the solar farms going up there for the schools, so that's good.
That's some short-term revenue for contractors coming in places. They're eating at places locally, and they may bring most of their materials, but they're inevitably going to need some odds and ends that they're hopefully buying from here. What advice would you give your 22-year-old self?
My 22-year-old self? Go rethink that McDonald's question. Right? I'm telling you that failing that probably was the best thing that could have happened.
Okay, for those that don't know, we started recording a little bit after our conversation started, which is most of the time with this. We got to preface this with you applied to be in law enforcement, right?
That's correct.
You were asked a question. I'll let you tell the story.
Sheriffs, Orange County Sheriffs in Orange County, California. So I was 22 or so, and I was going through the process to be a deputy sheriff. Went through the psych, all the evaluations, got to an oral board, and the oral board had 4 or 5 members. I don't remember exactly. A sergeant, a lieutenant, a citizen from out in psych or whatever. And one of them asked me, you're with your partner at a McDonald's, and you see your McDonald's get free food. Do you turn them in? And I said, absolutely. I said, wrong. So, but obviously you and I talked about that. The question wasn't, people want law enforcement in their establishments. So something as petty as that. But I was looking to give the answer I thought they wanted to hear. I didn't have a holistic view, and I didn't understand law enforcement and what they do. They weren't stealing. They weren't taking a bribe. They weren't doing anything nefarious, right? It was just the establishment saying thank you for being in here.
The conversation I had last week with Sheriff Massey, he mentioned that there was a difference between the letter of the law and justice, and that as a law enforcement officer, you have to learn discretion. And I think that's really important. And, when we're young, like you were at that time, we look at things and they're black and white, and we don't see any gray areas. Everything's black and white. It's either on or off. And it's not until you get some years on you that the wisdom comes, and you learn that there's this thing called discretion.
Right, exactly.
As far as your time in Booneville, what would you say the most important thing about the people of Arkansas or Booneville? What would you say is their most important quality?
When I came here, I don't know, this is a silly answer, but just love, right? I don't know how to explain it other than that. I've met so many people, and especially through the last 2 years, right? And just come up and hug me, right? And it's like, it's not awkward, like the awkward hug, It's like a real, and it's throughout this whole community. So, and I know a lot of people don't know me. They might have heard of me, and because I'm generous to a fault at times, but it's only because I've lived this long life and dealt with poverty myself, right? Super poor. I mean, 8, 9, 10 years old, cooking on a Coleman stove in the backyard with no electricity, right? So that shapes me as I become successful to be generous. And I don't do it for brownie points. I do it because I can. And I know people appreciate it, and they don't take it as me being braggadocious or boisterous or whatever. It's honestly because I can.
What do you think is the most important quality to achieve success?
Like I said from the get-go, integrity, right? If you don't have integrity and people can't trust what you say is what it is. I have not a bad habit, I think it's a good habit in how I handle business, right? And is take the facts, make a decision, move on. I don't spend, because I got to deal with so many decisions a day, and some that have major ramifications to other people. And maybe 2-3 minutes, move on. 2-3 minutes, move on. Learn from your mistakes and keep going.
How do you learn from your mistakes?
Well, in my business, it's usually financial ramifications, right? It's not personal, but through the business, they make mistakes that could cost us thousands and thousands of dollars.
What are some of your first principles?
I'm a stickler. Most people know on time, right? If you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. Every one of my guys knows that, So if I'm on a Zoom call and it's at 9 o'clock, I'm on at 8:45, and I guarantee you right now my guys are on that call, right? So even if it's with customers or with the factories in China or wherever.
So integrity, time management, which would go back to integrity because you're being mindful of someone else's time. Are there any routines that you employ that you could say would contribute to your success?
I'm up 5 o'clock every morning, and dealing with time zone differences, right? From 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. in China, you flip it at an hour. And so I'm up pretty early. I start my day. I get a digital copy of the Wall Street Journal. I scan through it. I don't read it all, but I go through, look and see what I need to know, take care of all my financial stuff, personal, and then get to work. And then I got a couple hours midday that because of California time, their lunches are 2 o'clock, right? So there's a little time, and then I work till late with China. But as a routine, I'm up early every day. Don't sleep much, 6-7 hours a night. So
how important is mindset, would you say, as it relates to your success? Or anyone, say you're starting out, how important is your mindset? Like you have
I get where you're going, and I think my generation might be even just slightly different than yours. You're younger than me, but you're not the 20-year-old. But the age gap difference it's hard for me to understand because I don't see a work ethic like that. I wasn't even really instilled in it. I learned it because I had to. Either you work, you eat, or you don't. Right? There's not that mindset right now, So I wish that was different, but I think that's generational.
So what do you see in the future of, I mean, not only Booneville, but in the landscape of the U.S.? It's, we're obviously at a very tumultuous time in America. And I don't like to be down and speak of negativity, but I also don't like to look through rose-colored glasses. So
no, and I see it, and I deal with the other parts of the world, even though there's the divisiveness here, right? Mm-hmm. People here have no clue what the other side of the world is like. Especially when you go to Taiwan, I love Taiwan. You go to Taipei, right? Mm-hmm. You can walk down the street in Taipei and feel comfortable and safe, but not in China, right? And the poverty there. I know Booneville has some really disparaging differences of poverty. It's pretty bad here. But even the worst that you see here is nothing compared to what happens in China. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't think any of our youngsters understand really how lucky they are just to be and not have a dirt floor. Mm-hmm. And maybe some in Booneville do, not to disrespect that, but that goes back to my generosity. If I see it and I can do something about it, I will.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to giving, I know you're a very generous person. Do you see the relation? Let's say you give a contribution to something, but you're always giving. So maybe that's why you're so blessed. Do you see a direct relation between giving and then being blessed because of that? Well, I guess what I'm trying to get at is how does one set their life up to where they?
Yeah. So like when is too much, and is there a return on it? I don't even care about a return on investment if you think of it like an ROI, right? Mm-hmm. I just want to help where I can. And one of the biggest things, and Ben, our chief, right? And I just made a donation to him, and I wanted to do it early. And I made a commitment before running for city council that the whole salary I would donate to charity. And city councilmen each get $3,000 a year, right? So I made that commitment, and so a couple weeks ago, I gave Ben a check for $1,500, which is half of next year's salary. And people asked me, "Why'd you do it now?" Right? And it was simple. It's because I wanted to get it to the kids this year,
for this Christmas.
I didn't want to wait till next year, and that's why I did that. And I saw last year the pictures. I didn't go personally, but. To remind you, I adopted all my kids and a couple through the foster care system, right? So the kids that they take around are underprivileged, to say, and I don't like using that word. I don't know what other word to use, but not as blessed as you and I are. And to see in the respect when a cop walks them through to take them shopping, mm-hmm. Even just that relationship it's not even about the money or the presents, but the kids love it, of course. Mm-hmm. But they get to walk around with an authority figure that's giving them an attention. And I just think it's just a real good program. And I wanted to get that money to them now. I didn't want to wait. So I set up a special account at the bank where all the income from the city council will go into that, and it'll be distributed at the end of next year when next year's over.
Very good.
The second beneficiary of that's going to be the Logan County Boys and Girls Club.
I see. So how important is education in your success?
That's a story I can tell you. So you might want to hang out for a minute here. So, like I said, I met my stepfather when I was 17, because that's when I moved to Corona from another. I was in Corona, moved away where I met Sherry, and then came back to Corona. But anyway, because I was poor, and I had to quit high school when I was 17. I didn't graduate, right?
Why did you have to quit high school?
I had to work full-time. So I found a job working for my brother-in-law's dad at a machine shop at 17. So I worked from 3:30 to midnight, right, which you call second shift here. And I did that, and that was, then I met my dad, and I was able to live there. And it was a little easier, but long story short is that I quit high school. But I always didn't want to be a dropout, right? So 5 years later, when I was 23, I went back, took the GED. wasn't satisfied with GED, and I passed that in a second, right? So I went and found out the credits I was missing, and I went and finished all the classes to get. I know GED is equivalent, but I wanted to aspire to do better than that. And a lot of people, it's a good thing. I'm not disparaging that. It just wasn't for me. And I had aspirations also of, that had to be done to be able to apply for the sheriff. So 22, 23. Anyway, got my high school diploma. Then I went on with my life. And then my daughter was born when I was 30, late in life. She was adopted. I got her when she was 1 day old. She had Catholic Charities, right? And anyway, I said, it's time to go back to school. So I went and got my AA degree in liberal arts, and then I kept going and got my bachelor's in science and business and management. And I kept going, and I got a year of my MBA done and moved on. But I didn't graduate college till I was 36 years old. So in my job now, I've been at this company for 15 years. And when I applied for this particular, I was in the industry, but not at a senior level, right? And when I applied for this, what got me the job was my degree attached to the resume. It's the only reason.
Really?
So that education through all those years didn't financially give me a huge bump until I was 43 years old. And I had graduated when I was 35.
So are you seeing a shift in that now in tech field?
Now, this is the issue with youngsters coming out of college. They feel like they got a degree and don't need the experience.
Right.
You got to have both, and degree gets you in the door, but the experience elevates you, right? Had I not had the experience, and during that time I was working for another company, and my GM at that time helped pay for the college I was going to at nighttime. So, and that's the trouble we have recruiting, right? They come in and they want 6 figures out of the gate. And on paper, they think they're worth it. And their student debt that they have needs it to pay for it. But they're not there yet. I'll take a guy with 20 years experience and no degree in a second over someone with a degree and no experience.
How can people get involved at a local level here in Booneville to help?
One of the questions at the debate was about running unopposed, right? If you remember that question, we've had 6 seats, and I think 4 of them were unopposed, right? And I had someone ask me at the Rotary, similar to that, run for office. You want to change. You want to help change. You got some fresh ideas. Run for office. Get involved at that local level. And also, we have a lot of organizations around town. With the Rotary, we help with the food box and things people can do.
Somebody that is looking to get into local government, I know Magazine has some very young people that are
a new alderman is very young.
And so what are some ways they can can you look for videos on YouTube to learn how that process works?
I've never watched any myself. To be honest, I just don't. There's not a lot of interest, unfortunately.
So exactly for some people, they may not even know what a city council person does. What does a city council person do?
To me, mine's a different view of the legalistic view. To me, it should be not just the mayor says, here, let's do this, this, and this. I look at it as like a director, as a board level think tank, right? Don't complain about what somebody might be doing. Give solutions. Right. I got a lot of ideas, and it's not going to be just going off agendas. It's going to, we know the agenda for the council meeting in advance. We'll go off that. But let's all of us give the mayor some ideas, not disparage any mayor for not doing something.
Right.
I have a hard time seeing and watching people's opinions without putting forward ideas to fix it.
Mm-hmm. So what are some of those ideas you have?
Well, for a good example of that is the stray cat problems, right? There's some good ideas out there, but
that's a hot topic.
Yeah, I know, but we got no action.
Right.
We got some good ideas. The last city council meeting, which I was unaware about, needing another fire department here, building and all that. Money's there to start it. Rather than sit on the money, let's get started. I think that process will probably take 2-3 years. I mean, the money's there. Let's get the property bought, get the plans. Let's start moving. Mm-hmm. And that's what we need, is less complacency and more action on all these issues that people care about.
So what is behind that complacency? You see that a lot here. Is it just because of our I guess our pace of life is so slow?
It is. And this is where it goes back to me. In my world, it's snap, 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 snap. You know, I got to make decisions, 2-3 minutes max, move on. Keep the train going down the tracks. Here it seems like our train's been sitting on that station over there. That's not, it used to run through here, right? It's still sitting there and the depot's still there, but
Well, we got to wait till the weather's just right.
What year is that, right?
So I guess some of our good qualities double as not so good.
Yeah, but the slowness is, you see a lot of people moving here, right? So I was conflicted in trying to figure out this population issue, right? So I went back to the 1800s and all the way till now, and it's true. In the 2020 census, we lost 4 or 5%. In 2010, we lost 3 or 4%. So this is the first time in all the censuses every 10 years that we've had 2 decades in a row of population decline in the city. So I'm trying to figure out why. Where's this coming from? So look at high school grade levels, right? And see where they're at. So, and obviously we need more housing and all that. But what I truly believe is happening is you're having the people that are moving in are kidless, right? So they're taking up the same space on the houses, but there's less kids. So I don't know if that correlates to the exact numbers. I know we have a 9th grade class that is much higher than all the rest for some reason. That could be like a Vietnam one, right?
Right.
I know after they came back, but I think we average 80 or something per class, and then 9th grade's 100 a quarter. But anyway, my point was to try to see if we're graduating 80 to 90 kids, where are they going? How many are staying here? Where's the jobs from? Maybe 5 of the 80, they're all going off to school, and then we go off to school, they don't come back here generally until they're my age with grandkids, right?
That's what it seems like. Everyone, they'll move away, start a career, and if they're going to come back, then they come back. Yeah. It's, I guess everybody has to go see the world and then come back for whatever reason. But
the population has been, even with the Cargill thing, if you look at the trajectory, it's just stagnant. Mm-hmm.
So do you think that is correlated to decline in industry?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And everything, there's a lot of places outside that have industry. Even Fort Smith has some good companies. But we see the housing for sure is an issue. But what good is housing even for middle income if you have no jobs to support it? So it's kind of a double-edged sword. You get the jobs first, or the house first, or the housing first. Mm-hmm. Right?
So, I've had most all the candidates, minus the incumbent, on. He said he was going to come on, but he never called me back. That's the second time, Jerry.
He'll be back for the runoff.
And they talk about switching our economy from It wasn't a direct topic, but it was implied and discussed that, and I think Ed actually, no, they both point directly, said, Aaron's was, anyway, long story short, we have more of a tourist type economy than an industry backed economy. And what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's true. And, I had a friend of mine races, even at his age. He's a mountain bike pro, races in California. And something Aaron told me that kind of struck me is how, we got a lot of mountain bike trails around here. And I had thoughts, I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, it would be good to open up a good mountain bike shop down here. And, they rent them out up at Mountain Magazines, but you need a mid-tier level. There's what I learned. There's no but Russellville and Fort Smith. So there's some things you can do, which is, you're right about in regards to more to touristy, and that's where I was going with that. But you can play to that too.
Right. And with the stage, you'll have,
I look forward to that. And then
I think that'll bring in, I guess, the entertainment portion of the tourist economy. So if we have the mountains to the south for the recreational areas there in the national forest, and then we have Mount Magazine for all of its glory and splendor. If we have more entertainment here, and one thing that's missing is lodging.
Yeah, exactly. Where are you going to go? I can get two for you. You can get them for free. Yeah, there's I had heard a couple of years ago there was a small hotel that one of your major brands was considering it, but it didn't go anywhere.
I heard, and I hate to spread rumors, but I heard the reason that they didn't was because of the alcohol issue, that they couldn't serve alcohol.
Yeah, I heard the same. Yeah, I don't disagree. And we got a club going downtown, and I don't know that in this environment that it would ever pass in this part of the county. And honestly, I can understand both sides of the argument because I know a lot of people have been hurt by drunk driving and DUIs and all the kind of things. Everybody's scared, but also we're all adults. We should take our own responsibility for ourselves.
Liberty. So how many people have been injured by drunk walking is the question, because if they have to drive to get it, then they're going to be drunk driving. If they can walk to get it, they're still going to get it.
Yeah.
I guess they could walk into traffic, but anyway, I don't mean to get on a contentious topic.
We'll see. This election's what you didn't touch on is the issue 4, right?
Right.
It's being elected today. My prediction on tape, you don't have to share it, is that it go down 60-40.
That'll lose. Mm-hmm. And that's just a gut feeling you have.
Mm-hmm. I have no science behind it.
So, I know you're a very generous person. What is do you have a foundation that you most often donate to that you would invite others to support as well? Or do you just...
any cancer societies is big for me, right? And we talked about the Shot for a Cob and the Boys Club. It's a lot of good local stuff and churches, and things of that nature. But besides that, I have a philosophy, right? I don't think I said this. Besides waking up, breathing, is I try to make one person smile a day. And this is where the generosity comes in, right? So it could be, I can tell you, and this sounds braggadocious, I'm not meaning to say that way, but quite a few times me and my wife, I tip a waitress a $100 bill, right? But and quite a few times they've hugged and cried. Mm-hmm. I had an instance when I was just last Thanksgiving. I was in Tacos for Life up there in Fort Smith, right? And I was there the year earlier, and it was the first time I came in last November. I was able to eat, and so they have these eggplant tacos. I can eat that. I couldn't eat the rest. And this guy came up to me and, "Oh yeah, I remember from you last year. You're doing so well. Congratulations and all that." And his manager came over. And I gave the manager a $100 bill and I said, "Can you please go give it to that young man?" The guy, and I'm teary-eyed right now. The young man came over to me and my wife crying. It was right before Thanksgiving. And he said, "You don't know what this means. We don't have Thanksgiving dinner. We don't have a turkey. We don't have nothing." And he went in the back of the Tacos for Life and was crying. His manager came back out to me, tried to give me a gift card, it just, you don't know who you're going to touch, when and why and where. Mm-hmm. So, and it's happened to me many, many times. So I don't know how, but it's very random for me. But when I do it, it seems to have the most impact. It's just the weirdest thing.
As you know, I've had Will Beeson on with the Blessing Box Project. And it seems, there's corroborating story there. The people who receive are the most willing to give. So what I'm trying to say is the people that you touch, they may not have been the most generous people until they received. Mm-hmm. It changes people when they see someone giving from their heart.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna make me cry. Speechless.
Yeah. Well, can you think of anything else that I didn't touch on?
No, just that I really look forward to serving this community. And if anybody, my phone number's out there, my email's out there. I'm open to listen to anybody's concerns and how I can help. I really want to make a difference. Mm-hmm. I don't. You're not going to see what you will not see me is be complacent. Right. And the last thing apart about that is there's two things that I think going to help me on the city council. One of the things is I have zero financial ties to this community. Some people might see that as a negative, but I see it as a positive because I cannot be influenced by anybody else's actions.
Right.
I'm my own person, and I'm going to speak that way and pretty bluntly, to be honest.
Yeah, anybody that knows you would
right.
be able to recognize that pretty quick.
Right, and complacency isn't on my agenda.
So what are your feelings on, there's a lot of talk of having regular town hall meetings aside from the city hall meetings because the city council meetings have come somewhat of a town hall meeting. So
my hope is whoever becomes mayor or reelected or otherwise, that there's more of a structure to the city council meetings. I would rather see, and I ask questions from the audience, but I honestly don't think that's appropriate. I think it should be much more structured with the timers and, at the end, you're on the agenda. If you're not, open for 3 minutes, but I don't think any questions should be blindsided or not prepared for, to be able to prepare for it. Like, there's a couple of instances where things happen where certain people should have been there that didn't know and would have been much more helpful if they were there, and we could have got to some conclusions and things like that. So maybe just not despairing the current city council or mayor, but I just think it could be run more business-like, right? Mm-hmm. And in a rural town, I understand that's not the vibe, right? Or whatever you want to say, but then you can have your town hall meetings, I think, absolutely outside to discuss everything in a round robin form, but you got to be careful of the violations of, two city council in the same place talking about business. You can't do that. So I don't know how that would be structured because it couldn't be a quorum of more than one city council person.
I think the prohibition is if it is, then it has to be recorded.
It has to be recorded, minutes taken, and so on.
So in case there were a FOIA request.
Exactly. And then we're working on that. And the city council is doing good. Stacy's done a wonderful job. She started recorded, and when she went in office 2 years ago, prior to that, there was nothing. And legally, you're supposed to have some at a minimum audio of the whole proceeding, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think it should be put upon a city council person to have to do that. To be honest,
right?
I was very vocal to the last city council about my thoughts about that, and I kind of. I take umbrage that I feel bad that I did that because it wasn't the appropriate forum. But like everybody starts talking like you're in the kitchen table. You're going to start talking back, right?
Yeah.
So there needs to be some structure.
Right. Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, I thought there was going to be
It was going to be a brawl.
Yeah.
You got Ben there outside the door, But yeah, that was over. Yeah, I won't get into that. But.
Well, Derrick, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. Glad to be here, Brian.
I look forward to what the future brings.
Yeah. Thank you.